both from Panama Equity, joining you guys for a little Facebook Live action. Matty, my boy, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a real busy couple of weeks, so we're enjoying the time.
We like busy. We like busy in this business. So, yeah, guys, if you're just tuning in, we do this every week, and we have different people on. I say, Panama Equity, it's a team venture, and we got Matthew Marx. Matt is our salesperson of the year from last year. He's trending to defend his title for this year already, having a fantastic first quarter. Actually, guys, just to let you know, this has been one of the best 3 months in the company's history in terms of all of our salespeople really closing some awesome deals. And it's not just about us. It's about the Panama real estate market at the end of the day, because as Matt and I always say, a rising tide, how's it go, Matt? Lifts all ships. That's it. So, good things are happening. So I wanted to get Matt on in front of you guys because Matt really is an expert. So let's talk a little bit. Matty, my boy. So what are you seeing? Who is coming to Panama this week? Who have you helped? What kind of people? What's a typical demographic? How can people get a sense of all right, I'm thinking about coming, but who else? Am I by myself?
No, I mean, it's a mixed bag. I'm getting calls from a lot of investors that are either planning their trips or plan to be here in the next week or two. But last week, if you asked me the same question, it was all people looking to actually make the move down here from the States.
Okay, cool. So it's a little bit, and it kind of always has been all over the board. So investors, let's talk investors. Why are they even looking at Panama? What's interesting for them?
Well, if you're looking specifically or speaking specifically about investors that are coming from North America, United States, Canada, they're in a very much a seller's market. And Panama, I would still consider it a buyer's market. So they're seeing, some diamonds in the rough. They're seeing where a lot of sellers are coming to terms or becoming more negotiable. So they're seeing opportunity. You have to realize we're operating in a post-COVID world right now, or entering a post-COVID world. So they're seeing, I might have to kind of eat it for the first couple months here, but as more countries and more people are rolling out with the vaccine, they expect their return on their investment to start to grow with that. And I'm seeing that trend as well. As more and more people are becoming more vaccinated, they're more comfortable traveling. So it's no longer, buying sight unseen. People are actually coming here, boots on the ground, and checking out where they want to invest next.
Yeah, we're not doing as many virtual closings as we had, say, 6 months ago. And it's cool. We love people checking in. Hey, Katrina from Virginia, and Richard, always curious where people are watching from. So back to the investor. What's that?
Richard and I were speaking this morning.
Nice. Very cool. So guys, I mean, it's, real estate. Everybody says location. I think it's about timing just as much as it is about location. It's about, we have an expression in our company, or at least I introduced it to the team, the 3 Ds, which are distress, death, divorce, or distress. That's when a seller is going to be really kind of like pushed to sell, right? When they're super just urgency. So that's always an interesting situation for a buyer. And what Matt was saying is so true, is other markets right now are on fire. Seller's market all the way. So where does a smart investor go? You go to where the market's trending. Panama's been kind of flat for like the last 5 years, really. At the end of the day, in terms of price appreciation, it was gangbusters in like 2008, 2009, 2010. Then it dropped down, and then it's just been kind of flat. In some places a little bit up, in some places a little bit down. For certain kinds of properties, investment gears properties are lower because rents have come down. But just like Matt just said, is once you get the economy sort of churning again with people traveling, people going back to work, goods and services flowing, money getting exchanged, the economy, that's when rents start to come up as apartments get rented, as more buyers, or in this case, more tenants, fly to Panama because their jobs are starting or are more gainfully employed. So they stop living with the roommate and get their own. All of these things drive a real estate market. right? And Matt, one of our top salespeople, is on the ground in the fight, doing it every day. And if you're just joining us, he was commenting on the profile of people who have come. So you're getting investors, Matt. What can an investor expect? So walk us through an investment. I am an investor. I have $200,000. What can I buy with 200K? What would you suggest I buy right now if I have 200,000 to invest? And what can I expect in terms of returns?
Yeah. So if on the first phone call, when we're first introducing, ourselves to each other, I kind of, we try to gauge, where you feel more comfortable investing. $200,000, you're probably better off going a little bit outside of the city, even towards the beach communities. You can get something waterfront, between $150,000 and $200,000. You're looking at a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment.
Okay.
The type of investment's a little different though. When you're outside of the city, you're looking more like your Airbnb vacation rentals. So it fluctuates according to the season. Depending on, as an investor, how risk averse you are, let's go outside of the city. Let's look at where you're going to get the best return. Obviously, it's going to be closer to the water and where you're most insulated from some of that risk.
Okay, awesome. But what if I say, you know what, man, I kind of want a place in the city. I kind of want to, use it from time to time. Maybe I'm not ready to retire, but we're city people. We'll go out to the beach. It's, 45 minutes away. What are you kind of steering people towards? And if we got to bump up our budget a little bit, maybe we can say 250 kind of thing. What can I expect on that in terms of returns, costs?
Yeah. So, someone that calls me specifically saying they need to be in the city, we're going to look along, Bella Vista, even towards Santa Ana, close to Casco Viejo. There's a couple of pre-construction projects out in that area where their pricing starts around $129,000. You can find, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms will bump you up to about that 225, 250 mark, but you're still within that sweet spot. Specifically, we would look at something like Casco View, which has been really just on fire lately.
Good project.
Very good project. And people are seeing, the opportunity. You're getting in before Casco, the Casco prices reach that area. That's a project that's probably another 1.5 to 2 years out. So you can invest now, and then watch it appreciate as they're building up the project. And as far as a return on your investment, listen, right now it is COVID. People are seeing returns around 2 and 3%. Post-COVID, once the rental market starts to rebound, you're gonna start to see, upwards of 6, 7, maybe even 8%.
Boom. Well, that's optimistic. From your mouth to God's ears, as any investor knows, you buy property to either sell it for more later or make your return while you own it, or some combination of both, right? With Costco, it generally veers more towards appreciation versus yield because the rents aren't as high in Costco, but property values are still going up because it's a very limited area, right? It's just a little tiny peninsula, historic property. In this case, you kind of have the best of both worlds with that project that Matt mentioned because you've got, it's a brand new building in a historic area. So that with historic sort of like, what's the word? You have to, historic elements, right? You have to maintain the facade. You have to maintain the original height of the building. You have to maintain certain, architectural, historic requirements. So it's cool. And that's a good project. Well, yeah, I don't want this to turn into like an advertisement. So let's keep it real here. What else? So buyers, you started talking about buyer profile. Where are you seeing people this week? Which countries? What are the reasons they're coming?
United States. I'm seeing a lot of people coming in from the United States. The number one reason, they've been planning this trip for over a year. And now that they're vaccinated, they feel more comfortable to travel.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game, just feeling comfortable with traveling.
Well, sure. And, Americans, obviously, we do well. Both you and I are Americans. We do well with folks from our country. We work with everybody indiscriminately. But I think that other real estate agencies are also seeing a nice uptick in Americans coming down, whether that's a overheated stock market, an overheated property market, or just the fact that the United States is so close to Panama and also easy to understand. We're on the dollar. Americans and Panamanians have a long historic relationship. So that makes sense, right? And, Americans have been coming down here for years before you and I were even born. So, Richard, great question. Interest rates for financing. Financing in Panama. It's a little tricky. Matt, you want to take that one?
Yeah, financing in Panama. The banks here are just notoriously conservative. First off, realize they're going to ask you for 30% down right away. It's going to be, loan value ratio 30 to 70. And then as a non-resident, they're going to start you at, probably 7.5 to 8% on a 20 or 25-year loan.
That's the thing, guys. Mortgages, banks are not aggressively pursuing mortgages in Panama or lending in Panama. It's never been a really interesting leverage as far as, using your money, putting a little bit down, and then still making money, being cash flow positive. You can definitely get a mortgage, but you might be cash flow negative with the current rents. So if you're able to pull out equity in the States and just buy cash down here, it's easier. Banks will still finance, but it's also a little tricky. So yeah, no, wow is right. Compared to like 3% in the US, right? So yeah, just pull out some equity. Katrina, the beach, you darn right, my dear. Yeah, beach life is a life for me too. So we are looking forward to having you down here. Some of the best beach communities to look into. Well, Matt, take it away. What do you think?
I mean, the number one beach community everyone wants to talk about is Buenaventura. It's about an hour and a half outside of the city, and it just has all the amenities you could be looking for, from an equestrian club, 18-hole Nicholas design golf course, 2 separate beach clubs, a deli gourmet, shopping, sports bar. It really has something for everyone. That doesn't even count the hotel, the spa. So that would be number one on the list. The other 2 communities I love to look at are Bihao. That's more of like a family-driven type of community. They have a beautiful beach club with 6 separate swimming pools on the beach. Yeah. And then also Vista Mar is starting to get a lot of movement. And that's, the golf course is beautiful. Huge marina right now that has a replica of, I think it's a Santa Maria that you can go check out a tour. It's gorgeous. I was just there
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I checked it out last week. Huge wooden vessel. So right now Vista Mar is getting a lot of love.
Yeah. So, and I would add, Matthew did a great job talking about the gated communities. You also have towns, right? Gorgona, Coronado, proximity, within each other it's all within about 30 minutes, right? So once you get out there, it takes 50 minutes to get out there. So yeah, no, you're welcome. Come on down. So Tim Sosa, interest rate on fixed deposits, probably like around 3% right now for banks, maybe longer term, higher down. I mean, they have savings and loans here. They call them Copacidad, like credit unions, like for example, I invested a long time ago in a credit union for the water authority's employees, right? It's essentially a savings and loan. Interest rates are higher, but there's more risk. Higher, i.e., like 5%. So it's a little tricky, but then you don't get to take advantage of appreciation or inflation for that matter when you do fixed deposits, but it's a nice part of a profile. But we're not investment advisors on anything other than real estate. So I'm not even going to try to swim in that pond. But hopefully that's helpful. Banco General, Scotia, Banesco all have fixed term, just like CDs, right? Yeah, and we love questions, you guys. I mean, it's great that I don't have to just sit here and talk to myself, although sometimes I go off on a monologue, Matt. Sorry. Let's see what else. So Matt is unique in that he handles the beach and the mountains. Generally, this year, how has the split been in terms of interest in Panama, beach versus mountains these days?
Yeah, actually, it's been interesting. The first 2 months, January and February, it was almost all mountains. Everyone was interested in the mountains. That area was extremely hot. Just, people, were losing opportunities because they were dragging their feet on making offers. The houses were flying off the market. And then in the last, I'd say 3 weeks or so, it's really shifted down, towards the coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then just kind of steady as she goes in the city, huh?
Exactly. The city, that's a completely different market. You're not going to get too much on that short-term rental market for an investor, and it's pretty steady as she goes. It's pretty consistent.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, it's been a good year, and it's kind of cool. So I've been at this since 2007, and back then we had multiple offers, properties going through or falling through. It sounds like we're starting to get back to a scenario where, I mean, Matt before the call just mentioned that he's got some showings later today. And what happened, Matt? Walk us through. What are you showing? Who's the buyer? What are they going to look at? And tell the people what you told me before you and
Sure. So I have a buyer that I've been working with now for probably about 6 weeks, and he's looking to downsize from his current home. Something either out in the Ancon area, kind of like a suburb. He doesn't want to be downtown in the city. It has to be a single family home. We have an appointment to go see 3 homes today. And just this morning, about 9 and then 9:30, 2 of the agents called me to say that the home was just taken off the market.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that doesn't happen that often, or at least hadn't last year, and really for the last 5 or 6 years, unless it's just a fire sale. So yeah, I mean, we still have some inventory. I don't think you can reasonably expect in the next, say, 6 to 12 months, probably 12 months, maybe even by the end of the year, in Panama City, prime oceanfront, AAA, new amenities, all of that. We still have enough on the market such that I don't think there's going to be appreciation per se, but prices are still not where they were back in 2010, which is, Balboa Avenue, 3,300, even 3,400 a square meter. So yeah, it's for like resale existing property. JC, good question. What's the most walkable beach community, i.e. walk to groceries and restaurants? What do you think, Matt? It's a hard one.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I guess I would circle back to Buenaventura. It's got a beautiful beach out by the marina. And then inside the community, they have the deli. They have the wine store, so you never even have to leave the community. I would also, I would tend to include Coronado. It's got nice wide beaches, and it's close to all the supermarkets. There's the Ray, there's Super 99, all within walking distance. And if you do want to, get in your car, you're only a minute away from Reba Smith and El Machetazo.
Yeah, and I would also throw a place like Pedesí in there. Matt, you've been down to Pedesí. It's definitely walkable if you're close to town, in which case you just walk the strip or visit any of the restaurants. So yeah, I would say, and Playa Venao too. So, we got options down here. Matt handles up to Buenaventura, and then we've got another office at Pedesí that covers that area and Playa Venao. We've got a lot of information online about that. But awesome questions, you guys. We really do appreciate it. Matt, I know you got to go show property, so thank you for hopping online. We do this every Friday, guys. So thank you for joining us.